I think they should throw out some incentives to play in a group, just because. I mean, for one, I'm sure you could solo the game, but there's always going to be stuff that you can't do by yourself. I mean, that's just the way these games work. I know people say like, "Oh yeah, I soloed that 25 man," and I never believe them. I think it's total bull. But I think there is a lot to encourage people to play together, and I think they should. Sometimes you just want to pop in and be by yourself, and that's fine. I get that. I do that too. But I think you're around all these other people. You're going to need help from them at some point. They're going to need help from you. I think they should encourage it. Make it feel like it's okay, like it's normal. Like, hey, you know what? I know you guys. Let's go have some fun together.
I think they should encourage it. I just think that solo players should be penalized by not having a group of friends to play with in game.
I mean, they could probably queue it up. So hey, I don't have anyone to play with, so just pop me in the rotation, stick me with 2 or 3 other random people, and then I get the same reward for doing that as these guys do for playing in a group all the time or something.
Yeah.
I think it's also, now that you think about it, kind of a moot point with the accommodations that they're going to be handing out, because they said even when you're with a group, you either get your loot bag that has something awesome in it, or you get accommodations. So I imagine if you're doing solo PvP, if you don't get what you want, you still get accommodations, and I assume you should be able to buy equal gear out in the accommodation store once you're in. Hopefully that's the case, and then you get the best of both worlds.
I mean, they've got a lot of ways to get stuff, is my understanding. I mean, you've got, I guess your normal drops. You've got accommodations for, I guess, all sorts of stuff. And then, yeah, I see that in chat, guys. And now I've completely lost track. And then you've got your crafting. I mean, I've never done much of anything with, accommodations and that type of system in any of the games I've played. I've done WoW and stuff, and I never got up that high. But if they're really doing crafting like I understand that they are, where it's if you get stuff from a dedicated crafter or something, and it's just as good as everything else, then I think everyone kind of has that option of, okay, I can quest a lot and get my gear that way. I can PvP a lot or something and get my gear that way. And I can raid and get gear, or I can craft or buy it from a crafter. I think as long as you have options and it's all about the same stat-wise, you're fine. I know a lot of people, they want stuff on looks, and I figure as long as it's all decent, or you can buy other stuff, and I mean you can buy the crafting, so as long as that looks halfway decent, I think everyone would be okay.
Random StarCraft sound.
It was my Steam.
Awesome. Next, originally posted by Jalila, I don't know. He or she says, didn't someone say they were pretty much in the polishing stages? Figuring out major game mechanics such as this does not seem like polishing to me. I'm equally concerned by responses I was by the interview. This is in regard to, I guess, a French interview to a German site that was translated 2 times over about how items are going to be modified in-game, and I guess apparently the French site had some clue inside as to how rare moddable items were going to be. And I think
he was talking about stat optimization, on your gear.
Stat optimization, that was what it was. Allison Berryman, the senior community coordinator, came back, and I kind of feel this because a lot of times I think BioWare takes a lot of crap. It says, keep in mind that our development process is highly iterative. I'm not sure. Iterative. Feedback is critical to us, and we use it to make changes. There are several systems that are still undergoing changes meant to balance them and make them fun, and that will be a continuing process. Do we have an idea of where we'd like to be with a given system? Yes. Do we know exactly how we're going to get there? No. We like to use testing, feedback, telemetry, other data. It's an excellent way to help us make informed decisions and give feedback and get feedback on a variety of changes so we can determine what works best. So it isn't that we don't have a plan or any idea what the system should be. It's more that we feel like testing is a critical component in making decisions about those systems using feedback to tune them. Sometimes we test big changes, sometimes just minor adjustments, whatever we think the system needs based on what we see in the test. So with this standing, the reason why I brought this up today was just for the fact that no matter what you read out there, it can change tomorrow. I've been following the game pretty deeply for like the last 6 months as far as like almost day by day what's been posted, who said what, and they've changed so much stuff since the beginning that I can tell that.
Well, what they said there was pretty basic
and so
stuff. You know, how the game is always in development and everything is always changing. And with games in beta stages, you always see changes before launch. Sometimes they don't even tell you before the launch, like how AOC was when it was in beta stages. They changed so many things when it changed from beta to head start that it threw some people for a loop.
Yeah.
See,
Until
I think
actual launch day, they're always going to be developing this game.
Yeah. Well, I think even on launch day, they're going to be working on a patch for a week after launch day.
Yeah. Even after the game comes out, they're still going to be working.
Exactly. So I don't think any of our members are those people trolling the devs. I hope not, but that's why I brought that up. There was another one that we picked out. It's about customizing your companions. I guess some people are confused exactly when that happens and how it deals with story. Sunglare wrote, so I was wondering earlier, now that we all know you can customize companions' looks, how will that work? Let's take a bounty hunter / Mako, for example. When the bounty hunter first meets Mako, will she have the default appearance, or can you change it afterwards? This would seem silly to me. Or right before meeting a companion for the first time, will a customization screen pop up so we can generate their looks before we begin interacting with them? The first is a major immersion breaker, and the later is the big spoiler suspension breaker. How do you guys think BioWare is handling the introduction of the companion? George Zoller, which is a lead combat designer, stated, it's fairly simple. At the same quest step where you get your companion, you get to choose from several alternate appearance options. There are customization kits that can be equipped to your companion's character sheet. Since you meet most of the companions earlier in the story, you already know their default appearance, so there's no sense in hiding that you're changing something here. Think of it like a forced reconstructive surgery on your companion. The reason why I brought this out was mainly because they talked about the first is a major immersion breaker and the later is a big spoiler suspension breaker. I'm pretty sure all the people following the game and that have seen the videos come out can't really complain about the spoiler suspension breaker as far as character appearance goes. And then as far as major immersion breaker, at the end of the day, it's still an MMO. I know they've done voice acting to it, but you know, I don't really see myself like losing it just because I get to change my character's appearance after I get them or not. I don't know. Is that going to affect how you guys play?
See, it doesn't really bug me that much. I've played a lot of RPGs and MMORPGs, and it's, as far as immersion goes, it's really easy to get into something. And there's a lot of stuff that if you're really going to be this picky about it, you probably shouldn't be playing it. It's like, oh, I'm an MMO character. I'm carrying around 500 pounds of gear in this little bitty backpack. I'm like, really? I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that, you could probably nitpick, but, if you want to immerse yourself in the world, you can, and that just stuff, you never think about it. With the character, if you really wanted to be, like, that big immersive or something, I guess it would be like, you get it, and then you would never know. They could never tell anybody about it. It's like, hey, guess what? You're getting companion at like it's like banned. You just would never be able to tell anyone anything, and that's just. I think it actually builds more suspense when you have something to look forward to, but you don't know like a lot of the specifics. If all of a sudden a new Star Wars movie came out like tomorrow, everyone would be like, oh my gosh, that's cool, I guess, and then they would rush up to see it. If they know it's coming out like a couple months or a year ahead of time or something, and they get little details, everyone's going to be like, talking about it a lot, everyone's going to get real excited, there's going to be a lot of flame wars just for the heck of it, which just gets people even more excited about it. I think it's okay to give people little bits and pieces and just let it build up. as far as like actually changing their appearance, like for that specifically, to me, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you change your character's appearance all the time. I mean, granted, it's just like changing clothes and stuff, but I know when I was on Galaxies, you could talk to an entertainer and they would completely like redo your, I guess, kind of like whenever you went through character creation, they could totally redo that. I had to get a haircut for a wedding.
Image designer.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple in Guild, right, that were actually fiancés and getting married in real life.
Oh, okay.
So they had a Guild wedding, and naturally I went to it. And we made a big event out of it. They bought the little kid or whatever for like to make stuff pop up. We set up chairs. We had like a ceremony and someone ran it. Everyone had to get the nice clothes, so some of our entertainers made like I guess tuxes and dresses for everyone. So I had to go pick one of those up. It's like, looked really sweet. But they're like, you know what? I don't like your hair, and you're in this wedding, so let's to make you presentable. I'm like, okay. So my character goes from like having long hair to I guess shorter, just a little bit spiky, but not like spiky up.
Somewhat in-game acceptable hair.
Yeah, for I guess an in-game wedding, which is just kind of awkward. I mean,
why am I still wedding?
It's a video game character, but I mean, it was still blue. They let me keep that part. That was awesome, but. I mean, you can change characters all the time, and I suspect a lot of people once they set their companion to what they want the first time, they're probably not going to go back and change it. They might find something later that they really like, but that's more just this is cool, and maybe it wasn't available to me earlier, or maybe I didn't realize it looked like that, and I'll change it and just never think about it. But
nice.
I don't see it as being like a really big deal. That's just me. How about you, Matt?
What about you, Matt? I mean, is it going to break your story knowing what your default companion is going to look like, or getting the kit? I guess whenever you get them.
It's not a deal breaker for me. I mean, it's not gonna ruin my immersion just because of what my companion looks like.
Well, I mean, how did it work before? Because obviously you had pets in like WoW and stuff, but I've never used them. Could you change their appearances at all?
I mean, in WoW, you couldn't change their appearance, but you could always go find a different kind of pet, I guess. Like if you had a tiger, you could find one with different stripes and stuff like that. One that was see-through or had glowy eyes and stuff like that. So
basically, someone's complaining that they're getting something new.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you've never really been able to. I mean, I might be out of it. I can't think of anything of when you've been able to completely customize your companion, except in Star Trek Online, when you got different bridge officers, you were allowed to go into their. When you first got them, you could go into there and you could customize what they look like. If they were an alien, they would always stay the same race as what they gave you, like a Klingon. It would always have a Klingon, race bonuses, but you could change it to look like a human, and you could change their uniform, stuff like that. But other than that game, I've never seen customization of companions, which I kind of like their system because it was really nice. You could actually change what they look. You can make them look whatever you wanted. If you want
I like the
really tall,
Klingon
skinny,
human
with the triangle heads, you could do that.
Could you make your little green girl and take her in the back?
Yeah.
Show her how a Navy officer does it.
I mean, if that's the way you wanted it, you could really do anything in that game.
Can you make your Klingon security officer dude look like the green Orion girl and take her to the back, or is that just?
You can't change sexes, but you can make them look different.
See, I think I played that, but that's really how long ago I played it and how short I played it was.
Yeah, I played it till max level, and then you got to max level and there was nothing to do. So
there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that kind of ends it up for the dev tracker. There's one little note. I wish I knew the Norway guy's name. Maybe it's in the document online. Anyways, for our guy in Norway, he has a reason to celebrate. Global launch date for Tor has been moved up to December 20th to match North America. This is kind of awesome for BioWare because that means it's a simultaneous worldwide release or hour-by-hour release, if you will. And our guy in Norway gets to jump on when we do, so congrats to him. Yay.
Now, the one thing I would worry about is, I know they're